Hello there, it's that time again when we bring to your screen developmental activities happening in the Center of Excellence. Welcome to Dateline Lagos. I'm Loretta Chiogo. First, the highlights. Governor Ambode takes a major step to deal with kidnappers as he assents to the anti-kidnapping bill that prescribes life imprisonment for those involved and also a death sentence in some cases. Lagos State Government inaugurates Economic Advisory Committee to assist in actualizing the state's developmental plans. 3 civil servants take oath of office as new permanent secretaries, charged to uphold professionalism and integrity. Lagos State Government performs groundbreaking ceremony of new model secondary schools. And now let's begin with security issues, particularly kidnapping, a heinous crime that put fear in the hearts of residents. It will no longer be business as usual, so says the Lagos State Governor.
Kidnapping has almost become a daily crime carried out with ease around the country, depending on where it has been committed. Victims spend millions of naira to regain freedom from the abductors. Some even die in the process. But while kidnappers seem bent on their act, the Lagos State Police have shown success in apprehending suspects in many occasions. In July 2016, the Oniba of Iba, Oba Goriola Oseni, was kidnapped from his palace. A security detail attached to the palace and a commercial motorcycle operator died in the process.
Where's your house?
After a coordinated onslaught by security agencies under the code name Operation Awatse, 2 key suspects were arrested in connection with the kidnap weeks later. The suspects are being remanded in prison custody while hearing on their case continues before a Lagos High Court. At the 2016 annual town hall meeting on security, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police reported that 51 cases of kidnapping were recorded between December 2015 and December 2016, out of which 38 suspects were arrested and prosecuted.
Lagos State House of Assembly Committee on Judiciary.
The introduction of stiffer punishment for kidnapping in Lagos State is coming on the heels of growing apprehension over the increase in kidnapping. Today, death penalty is being enacted in several states, with Lagos being the most recent. And as part of efforts to curb the crime, Governor Ambode signed into law the anti-kidnapping bill recently passed by the State House of Assembly. The provisions of the law that prohibits the act of kidnapping is to ensure that residents in the state go about their businesses without fear of being kidnapped. The law specifies life imprisonment for kidnappers and death penalty in extreme cases.
In recent times, kidnapping has become a major threat to the safety of citizens and therefore required decisive action by the government. This law imposes a penalty of life imprisonment for kidnapping for ransom. The law stipulates that where a victim dies in the course of a kidnap, the suspect is liable on conviction to death.
Schools have recently been the target of kidnappers. On October 6, 2016, 4 students and 2 teachers were kidnapped by a gang of suspected militants from Ibonla Senior and Junior Model College in the suburbs of Ekpe. Within a week, they were released by their kidnappers after consistent pressure from the police.
While we use this law to address the challenge of kidnapping and punish the criminals, we're also putting in place appropriate measures, particularly in our schools and other vulnerable targets, to prevent security breaches. Security is of utmost importance to our administration, and we're confident that this law will serve as a deterrent to anybody who may desire to engage in this wicked act within the boundaries of Lagos State. Our justice system will be required to execute this law to the letter and make sure that any criminal caught faces the full wrath of the law.
Governor Ambode also signed the Sports Trust Fund Bill and the Sports Commission Bill into law. The laws were enacted to address key issues bordering on security and effectively harnessing the potentials in the sports sector.
The Sports Commission law will give legal backing to the formulation and implementation of sports policies in the state, while the Sports Trust Fund will enable government to raise money for the development of sporting facilities and activities. This fund will provide a platform where the state government can enter into partnership with the private sector to finance sports infrastructure, tournaments, and programs, which will in turn create employment and generate revenue for the state. As provided for in the law, a board of trustees comprising all stakeholders in the sports community will be inaugurated soon to manage the Sports Trust Fund. By these laws, we have restated our commitment to sports and making Lagos the hub of sports in Nigeria.
The passing of these laws have been made possible by the collaboration between the state executive and the legislature.
We're happy that the kidnapping law is a direct response and responsiveness of the government to the spate of kidnapping in the state. So it is all encompassing, and we're sure that the dragnet to punish those who engage in this act are further, the dragnet is further stretched to catch more people. And in no long distance, we are sure that that act of kidnapping will be eradicated completely in the state.
Perhaps the decisions taken on punishing kidnappers is the height of response that has come from the Lagos state government in response to security fears amongst residents.
The essence of law is for social control. And if an adequate law is not made to control the menace of criminality in the state will not be safe for you and I.
The intervention of government in this case is salutary in the sense that there are two situations distinguished. If the victim dies in the custody, in the course of the kidnapping operation, their sentence, applies. This justification for that being that if you kill by the sword, then you must necessarily also die by the sword. And the second scenario is that if there's kidnapping and death does not result, in which case you are asked to go for life imprisonment. But beyond these two perspectives, I think it's also important for government to address the root causes of kidnapping. There's widespread poverty in the land, which is not a justifiable excuse for these, crimes. There's hunger, there's ignorance, there's disease, there's a general underdevelopment, and people are being, including unemployment, and people are being forced to go into some of these, crimes because of a variety of factors. So the approach will be one that will require governance at all levels to be proactive in terms of delivering, or measures that will uplift the living standards of our people. And secondly, creating conditions that will make, kidnapping unattractive. But once the law is promulgated, it remains the law. And so people out there who have found, kidnapping lucrative should have a rethink, because life is precious.
I think more has to do with the prosecution, the investigative organs, doing a very thorough job and ensuring that when these people are arraigned before the court, they earn a conviction, particularly for those who actually committed the offense. I don't want a situation whereby you pass this into law and you see innocent people being arrested on trumped-up charges and to a large extent presented to court. Sometimes you find a situation whereby a lot of these cases are bungled and you find that law becoming totally ineffective, totally ineffectual, and totally useless. So we must salute the Lagos State government for that legislative courage and executive courage in signing that bill into law. Having said this, we must equally look at the effect of that particular law. Will it actually serve as a deterrent? I think so. Because if you have to actually pay the supreme price, you think twice. And that can only be possible where people are witnessing first-class investigation.
While this comes as a welcome development, many would wait to see how these aspects of the law would take